What's up, everybody, and welcome to the 23rd episode of Speaking of Stadia. I am, of course, one of your hosts, Aaron Cini, and with me, as always, is the bearded beauty, my favorite John Krasinski on the call himself, Jacob Porter. Jacob, how are you, sir?
I am doing good. I am. Just an update. I passed my FE for all those that actually care. So I'm very proud of myself. First time taking the exam after 6 years of being away from college. So very proud of myself there. So
I was way more excited is that I was correct. And I said, you probably crushed it. You were like, I feel terrible about this. And I was like, no, you did awesome. And then here we are.
Crushing it and passing are two different things, I feel. Because everyone I talked to as they took the exam has been like, yeah, I felt terrible about my exam and I still passed. So I'm not the only one that felt terrible leaving that exam. But yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's amazing how much you can forget in 6 years. Really.
Do you have to take it again?
No. I passed it done, and then I had to take my my PE whenever, but probably next year. That's to get actually licensed. So this is something I should have taken 6 years ago. So that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh well.
Yeah.
Here we are.
Otherwise,
Congrats.
I'm great.
Great. And down directly here is our returning guest. She is the very first guest we ever had on the show. Welcome back, Fiona. Fiona, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Are you doing pretty pictures lately?
I draw every so often. I've honestly spent a lot more time probably killing people in GTA than I have drawing recently.
Go.
So yeah, that's my new game, I guess.
That I playing that GTA Online or just like the story?
Online? GTA Online.
GTA, okay, so the new hottest in 2021.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the newest game. It's my first GTA, so
coming straight to PS5.
First GTA. Okay, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. That's pretty incredible.
Since you're playing GTA Online, can you do me a favor and make art out of bodies?
Oh, absolutely. I'll do that, and I'll take screenshots, and then I'll specifically send them all to you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And only you.
And just below Mr. Porter, down in this direction, we have our very first time guest here. He is from the podcast Quit the Build. His name is Nick. Nick, thank you so much for joining us. How are you, man?
Thank you for having me. It is super exciting to be on this podcast, because really my whole Stadia story is all this guy's fault right here.
Yeah.
Nice. Mr. Porter. But yeah, it's I'm a Stadia guy, not I mix it in with my other consoles, but on Quit the Build we do talk about kind of all gaming news, and we incorporate Stadia and actually cover it fairly because not a lot of people do.
Thank you.
Very true.
Yeah,
we appreciate that.
So great to be on.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Tell us about your podcast, and I know you said Stadia was all because of Porter, but just give us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I guess on the Stadia side, it was mostly Jacob's fault. Actually, no, entirely. It's entirely his fault. This is on you, dude. Because
that's not that problem.
Yeah, I drank the same Kool-Aid that a lot of people did when Stadia first came out, which was falling for the negative press that it first got. I still remember that infamous. I'm going to say it was Washington Post, whoever it was, that guy that did that Destiny 2. Gameplay video where he presses space. And, 5 seconds later, the character jumps and he was on work Wi-Fi. It's obviously
on work Wi-Fi on launch day. On launch day of a new what online MMO massive game doesn't have server issues the first day it launches,
but not even the right
days
internet,
plural.
Yeah,
remember Dauntless? Like,
oh, definitely. Yeah. But, I was in that boat where, what I saw was my perception of it. And so I just kind of dismissed it, even though I was potentially in the market for it because I didn't want to move over to next gen. And then one day I saw Jacob post about it and he's just like, yeah, give it a shot if you haven't. And I'm like, you know what? Fine. Especially because
it was like 3 months when they're doing it. I think it was when
I had gotten furloughed. And so that's when they just offered that pandemic special for Stadia. And before I know it, now I've got 4 controllers. And like, that's like, if a game comes out on Stadia, it's my go-to platform. So you've successfully converted one person.
Are you, is one of those 4 controllers Wasabi?
It's Wasabi. Okay, fun fact.
Damn.
Out of the 2,500 tweets that we've put out on the Quit the Build account, the most engaged tweet is just a picture of a Wasabi controller. And it says, that's the tweet, just the controller. I'm just like, let me just see what happens. Because I know a lot of people are really passionate about Stadia. And before I know it, there's I come back the next day and there's crazy amounts of likes. Everyone's talking about this post. I'm like, what happened?
It's that sweet Wasabi.
Wasabi for life. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, again, thanks so much for joining us. We're excited to break down all the news with you and talk about all things Stadia. We'll get to know you a little bit more. And, at the end, I want you to tell everybody about Quit the Build podcast. I'm excited to hear about it. So let's start off with what our first segment always is. Let's talk about what have we been playing. Nick, you're new to the show. And for anybody listening for the first time, this is the segment where we talk about just what we've been playing recently. It doesn't have to be Stadia. Half the time it's board games from Porter.
Yep.
That's just life. Fee, let's start with you.
Great board games to talk about, let me tell you.
I can only imagine. Fiona, what you been playing?
Well, as I mentioned before, I've been playing a lot of GTA. So much GTA. A friend of mine, Frank, who's actually in the chat right now, bought me the game because he's just like, hey, you know what? I've been playing it and I think you might enjoy it, but didn't think I would enjoy it as much as I do because now I play it daily and now we're doing heists. I have a high-end apartment and I spend most of my time character creation. I'll spend a lot of time I have to dress, I have to get a certain outfit and they're like, Fiona, we literally need to do a heist. And I'm like, but I need an outfit specifically for this heist. I need to look good. And so I have done that
outfit.
I need that heist outfit or I'll get cars I've been redesigning, but if I'm not playing that, I've been playing a lot of Papers, Please.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Going to oldies. I like it. I like the oldies.
I honestly, I love Papers, Please. I think I finished it through twice at this point, but I've just been playing the endless mode recently, and just been re-enjoying those games because I saw someone play it. I think it was Markiplier. He's currently in Canada and he's just like, this is the only game I can play right now. And I'm like, man, I miss this game. So I went back to it and I'm like, this is a lot of fun. So those are pretty much 2 of the games that I've been playing consistently over the past week or so.
Friend of the show, Zach Hartzman from Hey Listen Games, he did a whole lesson plan on Papers, Please. He's a teacher, and that's what Hey Listen's game is all about. He teaches a lot of his high school classes with video games. Yeah, and he did a whole immigration unit using that game, and he said it just went off so phenomenally, which is awesome.
Yeah, that game is really fun. I've only ever watched the gameplay of that game. My buddy on my old channel did a whole playthrough of that, and that was really fun to watch. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nick, what about you, sir? What have you been playing lately?
Oh my gosh, a little bit of everything. The problem was I finally got done playing Immortals Phoenix Rising and rolled the credits on that. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got other games. So I've been kind of hopping from spot to spot. A little bit of Risk of Rain 2, and just hopped into... I'll tell you what I've been really enjoying that I was not expecting. I've got an Oculus Quest, and I picked up a game called Demeo, Demeo. It is kind of a board game, but it is. It's tabletop.
I've heard about this. Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like a built-in card game, half card game, half tabletop game, where you're in a basement with friends. And you're playing out this almost kind of a D&D light style combat scenario that plays out, and there's different modules and that kind of stuff. And it's a really good social experience, and one that if you're into board games, VR, or any combination of the two, it's highly acclaimed. So I've been having a lot of fun with that and just meeting randos and rolling dice.
That's awesome.
Aside from that, Pokemon Snap did pick that up. Sure. But I've been forcing myself to take it slow because that's not the type of game that you want to power your way through. and taking pictures of all the Pokemon butts, since nobody faces me with the camera.
Oh man,
I'll figure that out eventually. But yeah, that's about it.
That's awesome.
You just got to hit him in the head with a few of those things, and then
it's funny because at first you're like, okay, this when you first go through the game and you're like, you don't have any items. You're like, oh, I'm gonna respect nature and just photograph Pokemon in their natural habitat, and then they give you an apple, and you're like, this is war.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Yeah. Jake, what board games have you been playing?
Actually, I unfortunately haven't played any board games, but I've been hoping to play some tomorrow, actually, finally. I was going to play some this weekend, but my wife, because it got too late, we were figuring out vacation plans. But not board game wise. I've actually had a lot more time now that I'm not studying for my FE to play games. Right. So I actually jumped into 4Kids and Hotline Miami 2 a little bit. Okay. Division 2, which I think Nick actually jumped into my playing the one night as I was getting off. And then Killer Queen Black I've been playing a bit of. So Killer Queen Black is a game I'll hop onto and just play whenever I want to play a quick round or two of that game. That game is just really fun. Division 2, I'm in a weird spot. I don't know what I want to play right now. I'm in a weird limbo spot where I'm just too many choices and not enough desire to play one thing or the other. Yeah. So yeah, I tried Division 2. I'm not sure I'm going to stick with it. I'm debating on going and actually playing The Last of Us 2 finally, or Days Gone, since that's with PS Plus. Yeah, I'm kind of in that weird spot. I also jumped into the new season of Apex Legends, which I love Apex. Some of the stuff the new arena mode they added is awesome. It's this actually a Valorant, CS:GO, Siege style shooter 3v3.
Nice.
And you start with nothing. You start with nothing. You can buy. It plays exactly the same. You buy your power ups and whatnot. Yeah. So it was actually really fun. We had a few good games of that. Me and my buddy. So that was really fun to play with. Oh, and one last thing, I actually played some Dead by Daylight again.
Nice.
And I played crossplay with that, which is awesome. The fact that my friend was online, I saw him on, so I'm just gonna join his party and see what happens, because I saw he's in lobby. I was enjoying it. We started chatting and playing. I jumped on Discord and we started just playing that game. That was a lot of fun. Late at night, just playing that. So I've had a lot more free time, so it'd be nice.
Nice.
If this were me, I'd say get you somebody who looks at you the same way Fee looks when you say the words Dead by Daylight. She was like, oh my God, are we talking about that now? She was so excited.
You might say she's hooked.
Oh, yeah. Look at this guy.
It's true.
There are some absolutely broken killers in that game, let me tell you. Correct. There's absolutely dumb. Just okay, we lose. Cool. And also, just real quick, I'm also drinking a very good beer. Oh, there's the camera. Demiurge from. This is it tastes essentially like Hawaiian Punch but beer. It's really good.
Nice. So, I discovered this one out here with the local brewery. They make this thing called No Spoon Needed, and it's a peanut butter puffs IPA, and it tastes just like freaking peanut butter puffs, and I don't get it, like the cereal. Fiona, do you have peanut butter puffs in Canada?
Yes, we have Reese's Puff cereal.
Hey, I'm just making sure.
They make a. This brewery makes a chocolate chip banana. Sorry, I'll be really quick. A chocolate chip banana pancake beer, and is the weirdest thing in the world, but it actually tastes like that. It tastes exactly like that. It's crazy.
Nice.
I love what they're doing these days. I have been playing so much freaking Returnal. I cannot put that game down,
even though you're trash at it.
I am so bad. I still have not gotten through that third biome.
Wow.
So you got through the second one finally.
I did beat the second one. Thank you. So now I'm on 3 of 6, and I feel like I'm maybe getting better, but that game is incredible. And I think I finally understand roguelites. So you'll be very happy to know that I will be going back to Hades now that I have a feel for this, and I get it. And I understand why there's
Hades,
so
from my understanding, similarly, because Hades at least has a theme around you dying and coming back. It goes into the story, and I know Returnal does something similar. You can talk more about that. And then just it has the same kind of feel. You're actually progressing in a story. The story feels a little more fleshed out. So, and Hades is a great story. I mean, they super giant games makes really good stories.
Award winning.
I think that is what has been so good about this game, is like discovering why you're in this loop and going through this mystery of what's going on with this planet. And it's really wild when the audio logs are you finding your body in different places. And like, you've seen how far your previous versions have gotten. And then you're like hearing these audio logs of like what they've done. It's wild, cool. Man. It's so good. And then I hate myself. I don't do scary games at all. And I've been playing Resident Evil 7. And I don't know why.
On Stadia?
It's free on Stadia Pro. Yeah, absolutely on Stadia. And I am terrified. I am so scared all the time. The first night, I decided to turn it on in my basement with all the lights off at like 9:30 at night. And that's how I started that game.
Rookie move.
Yeah, I went into the house and was like,
full brightness.
Yeah, I probably made it 10 minutes and I was like, nope. Maybe later when it's daytime. I was like, I'm out of here. So I really want to play Resident Evil 8. So I am trying to get through 7. I really hope I get through it and I don't just punk out and go watch like a recap and move on to 8. But it's getting better. In terms of like the terrifyingness, I'm getting like used to it. And I think I need to stream it, because if you guys want to see me like literally jump and scream like a girl, oh my God.
I'm down for that.
Yes.
So I definitely think I need to stream it, because
absolutely
it's terrifying.
There's a market for that.
There is. Watch me be
I am
scared.
the person. I will watch someone else get scared.
So yeah, I'll probably be doing that soon. So yeah. That's what I've been playing. Resident Evil 7, trying to get to Resident Evil 8, which transitions us perfectly to our next segment, out now on Stadia. This first one comes from our good friends over at Stadia Source, part of the Gaming Source Network. They are your number one source for all things Stadia and all things gaming. The first one that's out now on Stadia as of this last Friday, Resident Evil Village, is now on Stadia. Anybody play 7 and excited for 8? Nick, let's start with you.
Okay. let me try. So we actually just talked about this on the podcast, because I mean, the game has seen really good numbers very early on Steam, over 100,000 concurrent players, which is a Steam record. The previous record was Resident Evil 2 and was nowhere near that. So yeah, the game's doing really well. I myself am not really a Resident Evil guy. Admittedly, the demo just made me feel like, I don't know. I used to be someone that like I would turn off a scary game like instantly, but I don't know. Maybe I've just become desensitized to it, where there wasn't really anything about it that was like made me like captivated. That being said, I'm not saying I think it's a bad game, because I'm seeing playthroughs of other people, and I think that's how I prefer it, is watching other people play these types of games. That it's doing really well right now. And just talking bigger picture, I think it's such a win for Stadia, arguably bigger than Cyberpunk, just because the day one package, and Capcom's known for this, what they give you day one is usually a complete package for a game. You don't have to worry about game breaking glitches. And they pulled it off cross-platform: PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, PC, and Stadia, and all of them run incredibly well. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about Stadia because they decided to get it on that platform than I really have at any other time I can think of on Twitter. So I think it's a great situation.
That's awesome. Fee, what about you? Did you play Resident Evil 7?
So I didn't play it all the way through. And the reason why was because I played it on VR. It did not go well for me. So,
yeah, I tried it on VR years ago and nope. Big, no.
It was a bad idea. But I've always been kind of a fan of the Resident Evil series, just because I always thought like I liked the kind of creepy atmosphere and the whole umbrella and all this other, like the storyline and the lore really enticed me.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping to jump back into it. My plan is to play Resident Evil 8 in October, because I'm like, that would be a great streaming game. And October is like, it's a spooky game. Right. I want to keep spooky games for October. I'm just an aesthetic person, and I want those spooky games in that time period. And if I have to choose one time to like get scared the living shit out of myself, it would be that time of year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like spooky season. Also, people are like, you're tall. You should like cosplay as Lady D. I'm like, I don't know if I would do that, but I'll still play it because tall girls represent. Woohoo!
The representation we've all been waiting for.
Exactly.
Tall lady.
Really excited that tall women are getting the final shout out that they needed. And I'm really excited to play it. I've heard a lot of great things. I've heard not so great things about like the first few hours of the game. But then once you get really into it and like the actual I don't know what's happened. I've told everyone like do not spoil it for me. I've seen clips of it a little bit, but I'm looking forward to it once I get to it.
It's been a weird phenomenon with this one. I don't think I've ever seen spoilers like run this rampant, this fast for a game. Like I know it definitely happens, but I felt like the game dropped May 7th, and I felt like by May 8th, I was seeing like major crap on Twitter. I was like, oh, damn. Okay, sure. I'm a very casual fan of this series, so it's not like something that I was like, oh my God, please don't. I'm okay with it, but I know a lot of people aren't, and so it's been a little weird. And I kind of blame Disney and Marvel. It seems like ever since their shows started coming out that the whole next day spoiler, like just get it out, is running rampant.
I remember watching The Walking Dead when that was like still a thing, and then getting spoiled by them like that night or someone that died. It's like
why would you do this?
Why you do that?
I guess they assume I'm watching it live, but I missed the one episode. And it's like, oh, well, that person's dead. Cool.
Yeah. Jake, what about you? I know when I asked you about Resident Evil 8, you said Lady D seemed a little short. So
yeah, no.
Wow.
No. I keep telling myself I'm gonna play 7, and then I just like look at it and I'm like,
spooky.
No. Do I want to be scared right now? No. No. I mean, I've watched. My relationship with Resident Evil is very hands off. I watched a lot of my friends play games growing up, like the 4 especially. I've watched multiple playthroughs of 4. So like I know the story of 4. I know like the general, just because they've talked to me about the story of the whole thing. Actually, my friends in was high school. Yeah, high school. They actually wrote a script for a Resident Evil movie that I still have. I have it. I have a copy of it. I forget who I was going to play. We never ended up filming it though. But I keep joking. I have the script. We need to film this. Like we need to film this thing. So again, my friends are huge fans of the series. I just can't bring myself to play them. I'm not a spooky guy. I don't like spooky. I like thriller. Sure. I like more thriller stuff than spooky. Which maybe these are more thriller, but jump scares not my thing.
7 is not. I mean, at least where I'm at, 7 is definitely not a thriller. It is there just to.
But the movie 7 is a thriller.
Yeah. What's in the box?
So
that was a good one, Jake. I'm proud of you for that.
Very nice.
You're welcome.
All right. The other thing that is out now on Stadia is Legend of Keepers: Career of a Dungeon Manager. This one is, for whatever reason, not really been on my radar. Here, I'll pull it up here so we can kind of take a look. Legend of Keepers is the perfect mix between dungeon management and a roguelite. You have been hired as a dungeon master by the Dungeons Company. Your job is simple: protect their dungeons. I'm going to play this in the background for anybody watching. You guys won't be able to hear the audio. It's no big deal. This is just so you guys can get a feel of the art style while we kind of discuss the game. And I'm going to mute it here so it's not blowing up my eardrums. That's fine. Okay, Jake, let's start with you. Have you looked into this much? And does it do anything for you?
I honestly haven't. To be completely honest, I wish I had. Okay, let me see what this is. Okay, so this is terrible radio, but it looks interesting. There's a turn-based RPG. It looks like more or less
turn-based RPG roguelite.
That sounds interesting. I could get behind that. I mean, yeah, I could get behind. I mean, I like RPGs. I haven't played a good RPG in a while, so if it's a solid RPG, I'd definitely be down.
Fair. Nick, what about you?
I can recruit new monsters too. What? Okay, okay. This is my interest now.
Yeah,
you might have sold them in real time.
I know, right?
Watching it unfold.
That's what we do here on Speaking of Stadia. We get people hyped.
Our style's a little. Our style's
like instant gratification. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Gameplay art style is a little. I could ask for a little bit better, but the concept seems pretty cool though.
Yeah, I mean, for the price, it makes sense how it looks. And
Pro in 2 months.
And there's the thing, right? That's the big problem with these types of games on Stadia when they release, especially with what Floor Kids is becoming pro, like a month or less after it got released, something to that effect.
No, less low. 4 Kids got released in April, and then it's for April.
Yeah,
that's pretty quick. But I did see this, and it didn't really do anything for me. I am interested in those types of games where it flips the script and kind of defies convention while still staying within the trope. What I was expecting though, when I first heard it described on the weekly blog, was more of like there was a game called Evil Genius for the PC back in the day that was like a top-down like real-time strategy game where you like would build like an evil genius's lair and like prevent like people from coming in and trying to stop you, and like superheroes and take prisoners and that kind of thing.
There's actually a new one of those coming out.
Okay, yeah, and like that's what I thought of when I saw it. But when I saw the 2D style, I was like, that's not personally for me. But yeah,
fair. What about you, Fee? Does this do anything for you? You Dungeons and Dragons fan, first of all?
I'm a Dungeons and Dragons fan, and it also reminds me a lot of specifically a card game called Boss Monster, where you are set up to kind of like collect specific monsters, and then you have heroes that come and try to attack the dungeon. So essentially it's the this is a video game version of it, and I'm actually really excited for it, and knowing that it's going to be coming to Pro later in the next few months. Now I'm not more like, I don't feel the need to specifically buy it outright right now, probably because I have so many games in the backlog.
Sure.
But once it actually comes to Pro, I will definitely be playing this because it's definitely my kind of jam. I do like the 2D kind of style to it, and just like from what I saw, the humor is a little bit, it's funny there around the game specifically. But yeah, I watched the trailer for it and saw a little bit of it I think over the past few days, and I was actually quite excited for it.
Nice. It doesn't look like it's personally for me. I'm not a huge turn-based guy, and B, I just found the first roguelite I like. So, but I like the concept. I like the whole like protecting the dungeons, and I hope the writing's really fun. And I think I'm with you. Like, if it comes to Pro, which I have a very strong feeling it will. Like I'll jump in and mess around with it, but I can't imagine it's one I'll stick with.
No.
Sure. Which is also the great thing about Pro. Jump in, try stuff, jump out, you're good to go. You know?
I just like the roles reverse. Role reversal of the whole entire series.
Me too. Yeah. Next up, so that's our newest games coming to Stadia. And like we just talked about with this probably coming to Pro, let's talk about what came to Pro in the month of May. We had what we thought were just 3 games, but we ended up with a 4th that I'll talk about right after this. The Pro games are now live, and those 3 games are Floor Kids, Trine 4, The Nightmare Prince, and Hotline Miami 2. Wrong number. Floor Kids, we've talked ad nauseum on this show at this point. It's the funny, cartoony breakdance one.
And I tried it.
And you tried it.
Yes, because it was Pro.
And?
Definitely not a game for me. It's cool what it's doing. I thought it would be more Parappa the Rapper, but it's very freestyle. I just don't know what I'm supposed to do to get points, I guess, in a way. Like, do I need, I guess you kind of do it, I guess, kind of explain it, but like all the face buttons do different moves, and then if you either spin the stick or move the stick in certain directions, you do that different move. There's really no way of failing a move except for unless you're doing one of the spin, like the power moves. It's cool. It's neat. It's, I mean, if you're into that niche, it's very niche, I think, in that respect, of liking breakdancing and whatnot. Like, it's a no-brainer game for you. I think it is a really cool art style. It definitely feeds off that what's the word I'm looking for? Just that culture. I think it does a good justice to that culture for around like breakdancing and street style stuff, or even skating if you're kind of like that. I feel like that's kind of is that vibe too. But no, I mean, otherwise, no, it's not for me.
Cool. What about the other 2 Pro games? Anything in there like
Hotline Miami is a great game.
You tried that, yeah.
I mean, I played it through all of Hotline Miami 1, and I jumped into 2. It has different weird like skill difficult. Like the first level like super difficult at one part, and then I got really frustrated with it, but the rest was actually pretty easy going forward after that. It's a great game though. I mean that game, it's just more of a really good formula. If you like, it's pretty punishing, but overall, but it's if you don't mind that, it's so quick and like fast to try again. So
sure.
Have you guys played the Hotline Miami series at all? Either of you guys?
Oh yeah. Love the first game. So good. Nick, what about you? Have you played the first Hotline Miami?
Surprisingly, no, I haven't, but I've just never gotten around to playing. I've seen other people play it,
Sure.
so I'm familiar with it. But for whatever reason, it just hasn't quite. There's always game backlogs are brutal. You know, you always mean to. You never quite do.
Like I said, right now I have just so much choice, and I just don't know what to choose.
I get it, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they surprised everybody on May the 4th, which was pretty awesome with these pro releases. And they decided to add in Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order,
which is huge.
Absolutely free with Pro on Stadia this month. Unbelievable.
I legitimately thought about playing the game again this weekend just because I love that game so much.
It's so
I didn't,
good. But Nick, let's start with you. Did you find this news surprising, and have you played Fallen Order already?
Surprising, yes, and yes, I've played it. It is, it's such a great idea. I mean, like, if you're gonna go with May the 4th, I guess the one Star Wars game that you have, might as well toss it out there. Not expected, but I mean, certainly welcome. And I'll tell you, it's a really strong use case for Stadia. Like, if I were to demo Stadia to somebody that hadn't tried it before, I would definitely tell them, because that's a demanding game in terms of just the timing windows needed to play the game properly, even on like lower difficulties. Heaven knows I had to tone it down very quickly in my playthrough.
The final boss too. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Head against the wall.
Yeah, and I loved playing through it all the way. I'm glad other people can do so that maybe were on the fence or hadn't before, and I hope that it brings a lot of people over that maybe wouldn't have tried the service otherwise. Great game.
So good. Fee, have you played this one?
I have played this one, and I really liked it when it was on the PlayStation. I got it for Christmas. Not last year, but the year beforehand, and I really enjoyed it. I didn't play it fully through because mostly, like every other game, I play it for a week. I really, really enjoyed it, and then I started playing another game, and then I forgot about it, and then I'm like, oh. And so now having it back on, like having the accessibility on Stadia, I'll definitely jump back into it because I really enjoyed it as a Star Wars game. I found it really captivating, and it was really great when it first released. And having this as a surprise on May the 4th, because I remember my boyfriend messaged me. He's like, hey, I don't know if this is just an exclusive for May the 4th, but this game's free today. I'm like, wait, what? And I think I I almost flipped my keyboard as I was trying to get onto the Stadia website because I wasn't even prepared for it.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Get it before they take it back.
Exactly. I didn't know. We didn't know if it was
before they realize it.
Well, everyone thought it was going to be Arc. Everyone in the Stadia community thought it was going to be Arc.
Yeah.
And like no one put the two together. Like, oh, what's next Tuesday? May 4th.
Right.
But no, everyone thought it was going to be Arc, and I'm actually kind of glad it wasn't, just because I think this is a bigger get than Arc. Arc is a cool game, and dinosaurs are awesome.
Before we move into the next story and talking about game updates, would either of you guys trade this out, like Fallen Order for free, for them surprising everybody with a different Star Wars game suddenly being on Stadia and making it pro?
I think Squadrons would be huge. I think that'd be a big get. I think that would be the only thing that I think would get me excited, just because that's a game that's pretty demanding in its own respect, and doesn't have a huge fan base. It had a big conversation when it first came out, and then I haven't heard anyone talk about it since.
Fair.
So it's I think that'd be a big get for a Star Wars. There's no other Star Wars other. I mean, give me the Force. If they give us the Force Unleashed and Force Unleashed 2, be no, I mean, I think obviously, but
I think there's a pretty solid community for Battlefront 2 at this point, though.
That's my answer.
It's true.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you get another multiplayer game on there.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, I would be ecstatic with that too, because I actually played it when it came out. I haven't gone back to it. I've heard it's fantastic now. So, I would love to go back to it. So I need to boot it back up, but
yeah.
Nick, that'd be your go-to Battlefront 2?
Definitely. Yeah, because the game is in a good state now. They actually listened to community feedback, because there was, it was unavoidable with the whole loot box situation. And it's kind of in maintenance mode now, but I mean, it's a good game, and that's really all you can ask for. And you really can't go wrong with any kind of not massively multiplayer, but just a large, style game like that, where so many people can get together. That would be awesome on Stadia. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Fee, any other Star Wars games you'd want, or are you happy with Fallen Order?
I'm happy with Fallen Order. I am kind of hoping that this kind of leads the way to maybe when we get to E3 time that we hear some of the more of the Star Wars games get released onto Stadia, because there have been rumors that there's at least like 10 rumored Star Wars games coming out in the next 5 years at some point. It's a rumor. I'm not specifically saying that like, oh, this is happening, but I've seen a lot of this kind of go around the internet. So I'm hoping that we see those kind of titles on Stadia.
Yeah.
And this is now you are obligated, Stadia, to specifically give us a free Star Wars game every May the 4th. You started this.
You have to do it.
You have to do it now.
Yeah, I think the only one I would have done, I would have put my absolute all-time favorite Star Wars game, Mass Effect, on there. Moving on to the next story.
Oh, wait. No. They are not the same thing. Because okay. For me, because Star Wars is not a sci-fi movie.
I know, it's sci-fi.
It is a high fantasy movie in a space setting, in a sci-fi setting. It takes way more from high fantasy and Western than it does from sci-fi tropes. So
you flipped a switch.
He did. He's very passionate about it.
I love Star Wars.
High fantasy. I get it. Space wizards, whatever. But you know what Mass Effect is? Mister, you've never even played the trilogy. You're a stormtrooper with the Force. Fight me. You get to be a stormtrooper and you get to just push people. You see that Mass Effect helmet back there? You see it right over there? See it right behind me?
The helmet.
Just right here. See this? Anyways, it's fine. Battlefront 2 has gotten a ton of updates.
Purchase you've ever made.
You know what else has been getting updates? Let's talk about game updates that have come to Stadia recently. That was an excellent transition. State share support arrives for Serious Sam 4. Again, this comes from our friends over at Stadia Source, your number one source for all things Stadia. State share support on Stadia for Serious Sam 4. This allows players to create game states when you finish a round of the survival game mode on any of the 3 available maps. Sharing a screenshot game state when you finish a round allows you to invite your friends to play the same mode on the same map and challenge them to match and or beat your time. This is, of course, something that we saw come with Hitman 3 back in January. A very, very cool concept of how you can kind of share what you're doing in a video game. Nick, do you have any thoughts on state share in general, and have you tried it at all?
I haven't really had an opportunity to try it because this is one of those things where it's a feature that sounds really cool, and is really cool in terms of its implementation, but you have to be able to interface with a community that actually utilizes it.
Sure.
And I don't know. I think that's the big problem with things like state share right now, is that there has to be people that are willing to use it, or because I think in a perfect world where you can show it to a friend and be like, hey, here's what I did. Can you beat it? They have to understand, I can click on this and like actually try to beat you and on whatever device I might be on. I love the idea. I just, whenever I see those features get added, I'm like, will I ever really use it? It's cool, but I think we just need to see more of it in order for it to get more adoption.
Fair. Fee, state share, have you used this at all?
I personally haven't, but I'm interested to see what people come up with online, especially kind of seeing it. Hopefully in the future, maybe seeing this with like Twitch streamers or like Google, like YouTube streamers as well, having this ability to do so. I personally, like I said, I haven't used it myself, mostly because probably you need to have specific friends who might be interested in doing this. And I don't think I personally, in the groups that unless you guys want to,
we should do it. Just test it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm more than down to test it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Do it for the content,
But yeah. I'm interested to see how it goes.
Yeah. This is something I really wanted to do with Hitman 3. And then I didn't really know enough people that played Hitman 3 on Stadia, so I couldn't really utilize it. But I love the concept of it, especially if you just have a friend that you're really competitive with, to be able to like set them up in the exact same scenario and say, okay, now go. Because Hitman, it was the same starting point, same level, same difficulty, and I think even same starting items. So it like really did challenge you to put yourself in that person's shoes. And I thought it's just a cool concept. Fee, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said like, how are people going to get creative with this and utilize it in more interesting ways? I think that's really going to see where it kind of lands. Jake, what about you? Have you tried this yet?
I haven't. I wanted to try it, like trying to get into really this well. And that's the problem, is like a lot of the games don't use it how we as a community want it to be. Where it's like, hey, I am at this point in the map, and I am going to make a point, my like starting point here, as opposed to being like, oh, you have to do this whole level. Like, I feel like it's like, oh, you get to like this one specific boss, and I wanted to be like right here. You had to face this boss with what weapons I have in this game,
right?
Like, as opposed to just being like, I think like a Sekiro or a Souls game, like something like that would be kind of cool for that kind of implementation. But when it's like, oh, go to this, I created this random scenario, try this like scenario kind of thing. It's like, it's a little less, I think, unique. I think it could be fleshed out a little bit more, but I think it's cool to see more games taking it on, because the more options for it, the more opportunities, and hopefully more innovation in how it's done. So
yeah. I'm excited to see what they do with this. I hope they continue to flesh it out. Stadia has a lot of really cool community ideas, and I hope they stick with it and get them to be fully realized, because I think there's a lot of really interesting things there, especially with YouTube integration and stuff like that. So the other big update we got, any Dirt 5 fans here? They're getting cross play.
Wow,
that's good news. That actually might sell it for me. I was on the fence, but when I hear crossplay, I'm suddenly a lot more interested.
He's like, you know what? That is a game for me.
Yeah.
I mean, it absolutely widens your player base, right?
Yeah, that's the big thing, is that when you have a game like that requires. Well, not requires, but you want to be playing with other people, and then you find out that there's not cross-platform, and it's no one's a stranger to the player-based numbers for a lot of these games on Stadia, 100%. Especially non-pro games. That if you know that if it's a game that doesn't have cross-platform compatibility, that there's a good chance you could be waiting in a queue for a lot longer than you'd want to. And so, I mean that, I might buy it when that gets enabled.
I love it. I haven't found a racing game that is like really, really, really clicked for me since
GTA 4
Underground. Like, it's been a minute. I always enjoy them for a little bit, but racing games, for whatever reason, I don't stick with them. Outside of like your superior sports games like Mario Kart.
Oh yeah, he's not foreshadowing anything. Don't worry about it. No, the last racing game I really got super into was, I think, GTA 3 or 4, where I like almost 100% of that game, like in terms of like unlocking all the cars, races, whatnot. Yeah. And then I just haven't really played a racing game since then, like to any like full breath. But I was also playing that with my brother back in the day, and like had a really fun time with that game. So
yeah, Dirt looks cool. Like if it goes on sale or something, that's one that I can see myself like impulse purchasing. And like you said, not waiting on queues to jump in, because you can play with people on other platforms, is absolutely huge. Any of their multiplayer games, I would love to see way more integration of crossplay and cross saves. That would be such a game changer for me. If you give me cross progression on Avengers on Stadia right now, you will get my money. You will get my money.
And just a little shout out, that game is now permanently $40, at least on PlayStation and Stadia. I know that. So.
Oh, nice.
Dope. And it's more fun than people give it credit for.
Yeah, the story, from what you said, the story is fantastic. The online end game is just kind of meh, but if you don't care about that, buy the game. It's fun.
Yeah.
Take your action figures and punch them. Punch things with them. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. So more crossplay, more cross progression, and you know what? More games. A lot like Super Animal Royale, which is now confirmed for Stadia.
Fiona, this is the game. Fiona.
Here it is. 2 months ago, there was evidence that they found that suggested that Super Animal Royale was coming, or Royale was coming. Right after this article was posted over on Stadia Source, they did get a press release saying that it is actually confirmed for Google Stadia.
No date, though.
It's what?
No date, though, for it. They have a date for all of the platforms except for Stadia. It is a free-to-play game.
Yeah. Yep. So we'll talk about this briefly. I'm going to do the same thing with I did with the last one. We'll pull this up here. Any thoughts on Fiona? Let's start with you. You guys were so excited. Fiona, tell me. Super Animal Royale.
Yes.
Okay, literally 2 seconds in, and you don't think this is my game? This is adorable. This is adorable. I'm super pumped. Oh my god. I can't handle the cuteness. Okay, so yes. I really need to stop looking at that while I'm talking about this. It just looks really adorable. I am really excited to jump into it. I haven't looked gameplay wise. I think I'm more sold on like the graphics than anything else.
Oh my god, it's a top-down shooter.
Yeah. It's a top-down shooter.
But
it's cute little, and then you get outfits, and it's just so cute. And it seems like really cutesy, like, oh, everything's great, but then you can blow up someone. Like it's just a mishmash of different genres that oh my god. It's just I know literally my ability to talk right now about this game is minimal because I'm just overwhelmed by cuteness. Look! They're like, oh my god.
If you're listening to this on the podcast, just go watch the trailer for this or open our video feed
so you can see Fiona's reaction. Honestly,
45 minutes and 29 seconds around that time, and watch the.
Okay, it looks phenomenal. Like it's not like groundbreaking, but I think it's adorable. I'm definitely gonna jump in, because of the cute animals. They have a construction beaver.
Oh, he's adorable.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The game knows its audience. It knows what they want.
Yeah.
I like this comment from Rouster in the chat. Animals killing animals. It's like real life, kind of.
Kind of.
Oh, that's good. Also, I just wanted to say hi to a few people. Meg in the chat. Rouster, of course, in there as well. Honesty21 and Jay, thanks for joining us and hanging out tonight. We always appreciate the live support. It's wonderful. Nick, let's get your thoughts on Animal Royale.
Oh, I'm all in day one.
All in. Let's go.
Like, okay, so first of all, one of the things that I think Stadia has needed for a very long time is any other battle royale game other than PUBG. Not to say I don't like it.
Sure.
It's just very much like middle of the road for me. And I'm not saying I need a Fortnite right now. I'm not saying I need a Warzone. I want something fresh like this. I'm really looking forward to playing this game. It looks amazing. There's an emu mount. Do I need? There was a shop in the trailer called Pie of the Tiger. There's going to be puns in that zoo. I'm ready.
Let's go. I love it.
Yep.
Meg says, I hope it's pro. It's actually free to play.
I'm pretty sure it's free to play.
So hopefully, yeah.
Interesting.
It won't even be a pro thing. And which could be huge for Stadia. If you ever wanted to give somebody a proof of concept on whether or not this tech works, I understand this isn't the most taxing AAA thing, but to say you don't even need pro, put it in a Gmail account, go check this out right now.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that would be a huge win for them actually, to just go ahead and get that out and get this. That's one thing I keep saying about Stadia. Get this into more people's hands and remove all barriers to entry. Yep. Just let people try it. And the more they try it, man. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Avery joining us in the chat after the hottest story of the night, Animal Royale. We're all very excited. I can't wait to play it. And this crew right here, we're going to be there day one.
Absolutely.
Playing that game.
Absolutely.
Checking it out.
Yes.
And just to confirm, I looked it up, and yes, they have a trailer on their Modius, I think is the developer or publisher. They have Super Animal Royale, super free-to-play trailer is the name of the video. So,
free to play. Sold 100%.
Yeah. Yep. It looks awesome. It looks like something that could come straight from Stadia makers. Speaking of which, let's talk about the chosen ones. This comes from 9 to 5 Google. I accidentally stopped sharing my screen. I apologize. Give me just 2 seconds.
You had a lot of fun with these banners today, huh, Aaron?
I sure did. I was really going for it.
I love the little segment transition there.
Yeah, that's what I'm here for. That I keep the ship running. I got to have those transitions on lock. So for those of you who don't know, 3 indie games are now coming to Stadia as a result of a game jam. Last month, Google Stadia co-hosted the Play Anywhere Game Jam, and as a result, 3 indie games have been offered the chance to become a full Stadia game. So Google started the Stadia Makers program last year to help sponsor indie game developers working with Unity to bring the games to Stadia. Stadia Makers and Playcrafting collaborated on a game jam last month. The Play Anywhere Game Jam, where 10 teams of Unity developers worked for a week on prototyping a previously unthought of game. Out of the 10 competing teams, 3 were selected to receive an offer to bring their game to completion with the help from Stadia Makers program. The first honoree, seen at about 2 minutes and 10 seconds of the video above, I'll probably grab some timestamps and then we'll run through and just look at them really quick, is Walking Oni Games Bushido Bots, rhythmic combat game.
Looks really cool.
Next is from Jump Button Studios, Fragments. And then lastly is Battle Billiards, which 2 players play billiards against one another on the same pool table without waiting for it to be your turn or for your opponent's ball to even stop moving. So we need to go to 210, 303, and 330.
And real quick, while you pull those up, I'll talk. So one thing about, if you don't know about game jams, there's usually a theme to the game jams. So the theme for this one was local couch co-op was actually the theme, I'm pretty sure, for this game jam. And actually, Playcrafting is actually out of New York City, which is near me. And actually, a buddy of mine who makes his own games. Actually, I'm wearing his shirt right now for Kingdom Bash. He's actually had his game at Playcrafting before. They do big events in New York City. It's a really cool community they have there. So if you're in the New York City area, go to their events. They host them out of like Microsoft's building in New York City. So
okay, let's check out this first one.
The Bushido Bots is cool. It's like Rock'em Sock'em Robots meets.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool game. If you're
that looks sick.
This aesthetic is awesome.
Samurai Rock'em Sock'em Robots sounds really, really cool.
This
cheese game looked interesting.
It didn't make the cut. You know what? I don't care about that game. It didn't make the cut.
You know what game I wanted? Oh, this game I wanted. This game I wanted, the shrimp game. I wanted that one to make it.
Jumbo shrimping.
This is Fragments. This is really cool. It's like if you played, I think it's. I always forget the name is Outside or it's a game by Housemark. You can like switch between like worlds, if you will. This kind of has a similar vibe to that, but you need to work together as opposed to like working by yourself, where you can like interact with stuff like that. So
here's the billiards one. Oh my god, they have little arms.
Oh, it's like those real life doodles things on Reddit.
Yes.
This is terrifying.
Yeah. Oh, I'm in for that.
Yeah, but like the game, how it works, like apparently is like the ball. You can keep hitting the balls. They don't need to like stop like actual billiards. So you just kind of like constantly just knocking balls around. It's just crazy hectic. So
that's
cool.
So like you said, you're not taking turns. It's just like go and try to get all of your color in.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Like, I mean, these are very simple. And the cool thing about the program is the people that didn't make it, they still own the rights to their game and they can bring it to wherever they want.
Yeah,
and I think Google actually even compensated them for their time for the game jam too. So they actually got paid to do the game jam, which is really awesome. So,
man, that sounds cool. Any of those games really stick out for you, Nick? That you're like, that's the one I want to go play off the 8 seconds I got to show you of each game?
I'm already in for Bushido Bots because I'd already read about how that is a rhythm-based game, kind of quasi, in the same sense that like there's a beat and you have to put in inputs to the beat, because I love Crypt of the Necromancer or the Cadence of Hyrule, which is based on that game. And so just that kind of like when you get into a groove and do the inputs in time with a beat, it gets kind of hypnotic after a while. I really like that kind of gameplay. So that's definitely the one that I'll be checking out.
Yeah.
Awesome. Fee?
I definitely I'm gonna be checking out Bushido Bots for sure. It kind of has like the same art style as Ooblets, which was the game that came out last year, which has like almost like the indie kind of like pastel vibe, which I really like. Also, as much as I like to think I have rhythm, I'm probably going to get a little bit ragey with it. The same with Battle Billiards, because I think Battle Billiards looks hilarious and I will definitely check it out. Mostly because of like the crazy arms and just the complete chaos of trying to play billiards. 2 people on the same table seems like an absolute nightmare, and I'm all for it. I will definitely be yelling at that game for sure.
Awesome. Jake, anything specific that you just can't wait to dive into?
Bushido Blades is definitely the game that has the most style to it. Yeah. I think it's something the flashiest one of them all. It's the most complete of a game.
It definitely looks the most polished.
For sure.
It's a simple game. It's very simple, like mechanically, so it's easy to make this focus on the aesthetics. I do like the idea of Fragments. I hope they flesh it out and can really polish that game, because I think it was very ambitious for a game jam, what they're trying to do. So I think that game would give it some time to put into the art style and whatnot, can really make the game shine. just like I said, I like that concept of a platformer where you're cooperatively activating stuff, but it's a 2D platformer. And the battle builds, it looks like it's gonna be fun for like an hour. And I'm not sure if that would keep my interest longer than that. Sure. Or a game like the play, just like have like a wacky little like fun for like a half hour with some friends, and then move to the next thing. So that's why I worry about that game. I do hope these games all come to pro. I think it'd be really cool for the maker program to like bring this right to pro. I can see that happening. Even if they pay money for them, I'd gladly pay money for these games.
For sure.
Really cool. But yeah, I can see them coming to pro right away.
I thought this was a good thought in the comments. It teaches the developer how to create a game for Stadia and is a positive outreach for small developers. I do like the idea that they want to get people like comfortable creating for Stadia, and this seems like an excellent way to do it. Also, I think like indies on Stadia are perfect. So more of that type of stuff I think is really, really great. Just build out that library with anything and everything that you can, and this is a really good way to do that.
And I think if I'm not mistaken, Unity's compiler actually works really well with Stadia in terms of making the version for it. From what I've read, it has a pretty good, like their compiler for making the executable for Stadia is not bad. So
nice. Awesome. The next item on the list today is, of course, our rumor mill. It seems like every time we have a show, we have at least one.
I have to add that one. Gotta find those.
Just one rumor that we're not sure. This again comes from our good friends over at Stadia Source. Report that House of the Dead remake to launch on Stadia in 2021. Fresh report has surfaced that states that the House of Dead remake will be coming to Google Stadia this year. Last year, they talked about the fact that Forever Entertainment had entered into an agreement with Google to bring the game to Stadia. The news agreement came from the management of the company around the same time that Forever Entertainment released its Q1 2020 financial report. The newest update says it is time once again to stop curing. That's how I'm saying it. This time with high-resolution textures and models. Sega's famous light gun shooter arcade game, The House of the Dead, is back in a remake for Nintendo Switch and Google Stadia. The House of the Dead remake is launching in 2021. Nick, let's start with you, sir. What do you make of this?
Here is my long-distance, long-shot call, and if I am right, I'm right. But here's what I'm going to say. Later in the show, we're going to be talking about how there's the new APK for the Stadia app is supposed to introduce that phone compatibility where you can control. We'll talk about it then. I'm just saying, pew pew zombies. Because if I think about it, and that
that's what this game is.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I would never want to play a game like this with a controller. There's nothing lamer as a kid than when you would buy like a light gun game, but you didn't have the light gun. And you'd have to use the joystick to shoot. But yeah, imagine if they actually added compatibility, because you can already do that with like Just Dance, right? Where you can link your smartphone and use that and for the movements. If they could get that down with the latency where I can point and shoot with my phone, I'm buying it.
See, I thought you were going to go a different way with it. I thought it was going to be you can plug in its keyboard and it's actually be typing in the dead.
I love it. What a weird knockoff.
I love typing. I played that at Bagfest one year, and that was such a fun time. I love that game. That was so much fun.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Nick, that's a great thought. Honestly, we'll get to the APK story, and actually, we're going to do that one next now because that's just too good of a transition.
Yeah.
That's great. Fee, what about you? Any thoughts on this arcade shooter coming to Stadia?
I think this would definitely be the platform to bring it out on, just because it definitely has kind of like, it's a little bit of a niche, but at the same time, I think it would bring the people who really enjoyed House of the Dead over to the platform. I personally haven't played it, but from people I've heard who have played it, really, really enjoyed it. So they might want to try the remake specifically on Stadia. Who knows? It might be a pro game because they enjoy bringing out games like this or bringing them up at least a little bit early or in the rumor mill. And then when they come out from the rumor mill, they go right on to pro. But yeah, I am interested to see how, like, what it's like, because I personally have no experience with it, and I would definitely try it out because zombie games are definitely an interesting thing and kind of seems like the theme right now. It comes in waves, essentially. I find when it comes to zombie games, it's just like they disappear for a few years and then they all come back at the same time. And it started with The Last of Us 2, and now just a bunch of them are coming back into view. So who knows?
I love it. Jake?
I already talked about this. I want Typing the Dead. Give me Typing the Dead. I mean, okay,
fine. You know what? Let's get to the thing you really want to talk about. Let's talk about that APK breakdown. You don't want to break down this Typing of the Dead. I get it. This also comes from Stadia Source. The newest, latest, greatest APK reveals potential new bridge mode and more. New
Gem.
APK.
Sorry, Gem is the one that I think that did the breakdown. So I was saying, thanks, Gem.
Oh, thank you, Gem. You're the best.
Yeah.
A new APK is rolling out for Google Stadia, and as always, the fine folks over at 9to5 Google have done a stellar job of decompiling the coding behind it to give us a glimpse of these new features. Let's go ahead and jump into what those features are. Use your phone as a controller on your TV. A potential new feature has been uncovered that is known as bridge mode, and it effectively allows you to play on your TV using a Chromecast Ultra, but using your mobile phone as a controller with the touchscreen controls. Currently, the only way to play Stadia via CCU is by using an official Stadia controller. Another potential use for this feature is the ability to use other controllers, such as Xbox One or DualShock, that are connected through your phone's USB-C port or via Bluetooth, with your phone acting as a pass-through, which will send the information to your CCU, finally allowing you to play Stadia on a TV through the CCU and without the need for a Stadia controller. This could also allow you to utilize gamepads such as your GameSir X2 and the Razer Kishi, as well as these effectively emulate the touchscreen on your phone. A new image was also uncovered that accompanies finding this. Okay. Then we also have Google Contacts integration and screen reader shortcut. Thanks to Jem for finding this. There appears to be...
Thanks, Jem.
Yeah, right. Nice. There appears to be a way you may be able to toggle Stadia's accessibility screen reader from the controller by pressing the start and up keys at the same time. That would be huge. I'm a huge fan of all things accessibility. The more we can help people out with that, the better. So that is really excited. Google Contacts integration, fine. Let me find my friends through my Google Contacts. I'm an Android user, so that's basically everybody. Let's get into using your phone as a controller on your TV. The really big news.
Gotta get the Zoomer crowd. You gotta get the Zoomer crowd. They only know how to use touchscreens.
That's right. My kid doesn't even know how to hold a controller. Just kidding.
He was born with a touchscreen.
He was. Fee, let's start with you. How do you feel about the concept of using your phone as a controller, or using your phone as a pass-through to use an Xbox or a DualSense for your TV?
I think this is a phenomenal idea, and if this comes like actually into fruition, I absolutely cannot wait, because it opens a lot more opportunities, especially for the people who now are like, well, I don't have a Stadia controller. And it's just like, you have your phone. You literally have the $500 plus machine in your pocket that you can now use with Stadia, and it just brings even more opportunities for everyone else. Hopefully they might even introduce some things, because I know a lot of games were especially that are accessible on Steam that were also on things like the PS Vita or the Nintendo Switch, so maybe having accessibility that way, or like gameplay. I personally, one game that I would love to see if they did introduce this would be something like Papers, Please, because you could like maneuver your papers around, because there's a lot of papers, shocker, because there's so many things that you have to like shuffle through. But I think this is mind-boggling. Like, to me, it's mind-boggling, and I think it would be really great to see that and have just more opportunities for people, especially going back to what, and this has been a consistent discussion, is there's so many people that don't have access to consoles right now, or maybe not even a computer that might not like that works really well with them, but they might just have their cell phone, because there's a lot of broke college students that just have their cell phone. And if they have that and a
Chromecast, that's like 50, always on sale for like $50.
Always.
So.
Exactly. It's so much easier to do it that way. And the amount of free games that Google offers on a monthly basis, it's just, there's more great opportunities for gamers right now, more than ever.
Yeah. Nick, you already told me the coolest way that they could integrate this. What are your thoughts?
I might have handed them the softball of the century. Like, come on, the gyroscopes in every phone, like that would be amazing. But yeah, I think, as Stadia's slogan is, right, one place for all the ways we play. The more ways that you can simplify accessibility and let people use the hardware they already own, that's what they keep pushing. And right now it's just mostly about screens and not necessarily peripherals. And yeah, when you can say, hey, you can use exactly what you already have and connect it with this bridge mode, that's exactly where it's at. Because I think most people, when they make that jump to try Stadia and they get excited about it, well, their only real option is, if they want to use their controller, is to plug it into their PC as the easiest and quickest way that they probably have the cables for. So I'm very excited. The only potential concern that I see is that all these new features are getting rolled out specifically for the Chromecast Ultra, which makes me wonder if we're ever going to see that the Chromecast TV, that new one they came out with, if it's ever going to get the new Stadia support, right?
Yeah, which had everything on it except Stadia.
Yeah, right. I think they confirmed that it's going to have Stadia at some point, but I think they didn't want to push the rollout for it.
They said first half of this year, and I'm not even sure they're going to hit that date.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But yeah, and that has Bluetooth, I think, native to it. So I think you could link theoretically directly to that as well. So that'd be interesting. And then I know also this would be big for things that have like older Android TVs that's supposed to get support as well this year. Which would be big for that. And it's been rumored in a lot of the APK breakdowns of them showing support for those devices as well. So I think you can roll back to like episode 1 or 2 where I say they need to add this. This should be big because just be able to use it makes sense. I can already link to my phone to play on my phone. Why can't I use it to play on my TV too? Like what's the holdup?
Right. They've been listening, Jacob.
Yeah, I know. They've been tuning in. So, John Justice himself has been tuning in really, really early into our show.
Of course.
Good ideas. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, I don't know if you know this, but speaking of John Justice, that takes me to my next story. Stadia's John Justice has left Google.
Wow.
Yep. This comes from our friends over at 9 to 5 Google. Google is a sprawling company with... Sorry, my Android is like, oh, yeah, I can help you with that request. Just unlock your phone. Freaking, it's always listening. Is a sprawling company with 139,995 employees. Very specific. As of the first quarter of 2021. But there have been a lot of changes. We had 6 people leave earlier in the week, or I guess that was just over a week ago, who went to work at, what is her studio called? Jade Raymond's...
Haven,
thank you.
You're welcome.
Went to go work with her, and now vice president and head of product at Stadia, John Justice, recently left the company. Justice joined at the start of 2019, but has yet to update his LinkedIn to confirm the departure. The company provided the official statement to 9 to 5 Google. They're very good. Hold on, I have an official statement. We can confirm John is no longer with Google.
He has updated his LinkedIn. He now works at Facebook.
Yeah, I saw you actually. I think you put that in our doc too. I think do we know what he's doing at Facebook? Is he VP at
Facebook? So maybe they hired him to. Maybe they hired him to bring on to somehow work on the whole game. What was it? Mixer
the gaming division.
Yeah. Well, they had the whole Mixer Facebook thing.
Oh, right.
So maybe it's that. That's the only thing I could think of he would be. I don't know what he did prior to. I think he was at Microsoft. No, he was at Microsoft for a while. I think I looked at his LinkedIn actually. He was at Microsoft prior to Stadia. As like an app developer kind of thing. I forget exactly, honestly. But yeah, he was at Microsoft for a while now, then at Stadia. So jump to the next tech thing. Again, that's my best guess, is to help him with figure out that whole Mixer integration, because who knows, they know what they're doing. So
I can't handle anybody with the last name Justice working for Facebook. Boom. Mic drop. Nick, what do you think of the news?
I'm gonna get a little fired up here, okay? And this is not necessarily about the news itself, but I'm talking to all of you Stadia fans out there. Round of applause for you, and here is why. You guys held your ground on Twitter, on social media, because I see it. When we cover gaming news and I see something bad for Stadia that I know how the doom and gloom content creators are going to frame it of, oh, let's kick Stadia again. Oh, he's out. You know, is this the end? And you guys held your ground. I mean, really, really, really good job, especially looking at like, oh, people making examples of, oh, look at what happened with PlayStation. You know, one of their the CEO for them like stepped down recently. Oh, is their service dead? No, it's not. Like, this is not the end of the world. And people in these positions, they constantly cycle in and out. Everything is going to be okay. Like, let's not be a reason for alarm or panic. We are still moving on. The game jam is going. So hats off to the Stadia fans out there, because you've definitely got your foothold on social media. And now that I got that Wasabi tweet out and I've got some followers and I'm following more people that are in the Stadia community, I'm like, man, these guys know what they know. And that's important.
Yeah. I was the one who made the really good joke about Sean Layden leaving and RIP PlayStation, because let's face it, I'm fucking hilarious. But
don't give yourself too much credit.
You know it. You know I am. Anyways, I agree. Like, people are going to move positions, especially in this industry. It happens literally all the time. They're going to go where the money is. They're going to take new opportunities. They're going to look for new challenges. Like, that's just part of the gig. And it's just so unfortunate that because Stadia had such a rocky start, that now we'll throw stones at any piece of news we can, which sucks. It's just like more evidence it's dead. Not really. A guy got a new job. It's not even though we're talking about it on a podcast, it doesn't even really feel like news to me, but we have to make it news because we have to combat what you're saying, all the doom and gloom headlines that are out there.
Yeah. And honestly, if I could just follow up real quick, you know, the big thing about Stadia is that they had the world's biggest softball, I think, in terms of, you know, being between console generations and being able to be in a position where they could go out there with marketing and know the right things to say and the right people to talk to, that they could have made Stadia a lot more popular than it is today. I think anybody who's been a fan of Stadia day one, regardless of whether you're pro or anti at this point, will agree they could have done a better job with marketing. I think we need fresh perspectives at the top. People, and I mean, he did interface. He was on podcasts, so it's not like he was just hiding, you know, in his corner of the world. But
him and Jack, that's it.
Yeah. I really do think that it's good to have some fresh perspectives and to bring in some people that can really understand what needs to be said and done in order to get Stadia, not even in the hands of people, but just in the minds of people, to understand what the platform is.
Yeah.
I'm good.
I love it. No, that's awesome. Fee, what about you?
Yeah, I will admit I got a little bit heated talking about this on my podcast this week, mostly because I'm on a podcast with 4 people who barely placed on Stadia, but now some of them have kind of have a more of an understanding of it, because I have talked about Stadia with them a lot, and they've actually got to play Stadia as well, and so they're a little bit more susceptible of me going off on tangents about stuff like this. But I will admit I did see some posts online where I did that essentially the Simpsons meme where the guy just walks into the bar and then puts his hat down and then takes his hat, puts his hat back on, and then walks out the door, because I'm like, I'm not gonna be very nice in some of these posts, because people have been so negative about it, especially with earlier on this year when we saw the game studios closing, that people are just taking this opportunity to use this as almost as a, oh, haha, you guys are losing even more people. You guys are definitely failing. Why don't, like, I thought Stadia was closing up shop. That's definitely not the case. And I definitely agree with Nick. This happens all the time. And honestly, I'm really happy to see that the 6 people that were who left earlier on last week have moved over to Haven, and I'm really excited to see what they do with Haven, because it's run by someone who was also working at Stadia. So it's a positive thing. It's not like they got fired. It was they moved on because, shocker everybody, people move on from one job to another, and this is a great opportunity for them. And I think that using this as essentially ammo to say that Stadia should close up shop is ridiculous, because if we talked about every person who's swapped out of Microsoft and Sony today, like, or even in the past like 6 months, we'd be here like for the next 3 or 4 hours, because it happens consistently. People just kind of use this as an opportunity to use a microscope or a magnifying glass because of the issues that Stadia has faced over the past year since the starting date. And I'm trying not to get super heated right now about it. And you can kind of see it's like starting to boil over. But I think there's some positivity, positivity from this, of them moving over, going to Montreal because woo, Canada, because Canada is great. And then,
except for vaccine rollouts, am I right? I mean, sorry, love you.
Uh-oh.
My goodness.
Sorry.
Well, I was gonna ask Jake what he thinks of this news, but we'll just cut him off.
No.
Jake, talk to us. What do you think about this?
Okay, so first, it's been over a year since the last Phil Harrison tweet, so just want to remind everyone of that.
You have told us every episode.
I'm gonna until he tweets again. I'm gonna keep reminding everyone. People are bad at their job sometimes, and sometimes they need to move on to it. Maybe they're just bad at that for that position, and they need to move on to something else better or different. Clearly, Stadia hasn't been a roaring success, unfortunately, and maybe John Justice is part of the problem. Maybe that's why they amicably moved on, or maybe he wasn't seeing the growth he wanted to here and wanted to go try something different and something that maybe fit his skill set more. Or maybe this wasn't what he expected it to be. Like, we all have jobs where you think it's one thing, you do another thing, and it's like, oh, this is different than what I thought I was going to get into. Who knows what it was? I do appreciate that he was the one front, as Nick said, was the face of really the face of Stadia at this point, because Phil Harrison again hasn't been on camera since I think E3 the year it launched, or the year before it launched. He was on like 2 connects, and then he's been absent from everything else since then. So it's just been absence of, there's no, like I said, like during the Phil Harrison tweet, like there's been no face of Stadia besides John. So losing him stinks, but clearly he wasn't doing a great job of getting people on board.
Right.
So I think getting if they don't think they had in the article, but they have I saw like they had 2 people internal from Google get promoted to 2 different people instead of 1 person to his position. So let's see if these guys do something different. Maybe they're reworking things. Who knows? So I'd love to see Phil Harrison get let go, because he's been let go from three other, I think Microsoft and Sony. So make it a third game platform he can get let go from, because he did a bad job at both those other 2 places too. So remember the boomerang? Thank Phil Harrison for that. So hopefully they retool and remessage Stadia to really take a real new shot at it, especially now that they're getting the tech to a spot where it's, I think, fully fleshing out with the idea of what everyone thought Stadia was going to be, with the new bridge mode and stuff like that. So, and getting on all more devices in terms of the Stadia, the Google platform.
Yeah, as they build out a new team, I'd like to see them take more of the approach they did in October, where it just seemed like they were just firing on all cylinders. They were getting active in social media again. They were getting out that messaging. They were putting out a ton of new marketing materials. Like, it just felt like they were on their A game, and I'd love to see them get back to that with new people who are out there. They need a Sean Layden. They need these people out front talking about this service, being excited about it, getting on big time podcasts, getting people interested. Like, it's not too late. Google, look at me.
I mean, you have Shu posting all the time. You have Major Nelson, all those guys like constantly posting about their platforms. And then we have even Jade she was on a podcast once, and like that's the only thing she's done from this.
And it makes you wonder, like, are they just not allowed to really talk about it?
That's what I wondered. They need to either loosen the leash, or it's like whatever they're doing isn't working. Like,
whatever they're doing is getting, anytime somebody leaves your company, everybody says you're dead. So maybe let's try a new tactic.
No, there's so many opportunities to save this. Like, if they really want to get it out there, make a TikTok account. I'm like, this sounds like a joke, but like, honestly, the amount of people that get followers and like are building up like a reputation because of TikTok right now is absolutely absurd. I mean, it's a maximum of a minute.
I mean, Nick, I know you guys on QTB have done some really good stuff on TikTok. I mean, I love some of your guys' tweets and stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, we're on the talk. Yeah. You know, I'm a classic millennial that just like didn't want to. But when we first started the podcast, we only had a Facebook page because like that's all I really knew how to work. And eventually we got Twitter. And then finally I'm like, well, a lot of people are using TikTok. I said to my co-host, he's like, okay, I guess we have a lot of highlight clips. We upload them all. And like the next morning, there's like over 1,000 likes. and like all the stuff going on. I'm like, okay, I guess people use TikTok. So yeah. I mean, you want to be on there if you really want to reach out to pretty much any of the younger generations.
Yeah,
so
that's awesome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Before I get to our last story of the night, I just want to mention the magic that's happening in our chat right now. Meg and Fiona have discovered that they are Nova Scotia sisters.
Wow.
Woo!
You made a connection.
So that's buck wild. They're talking about
crazy.
the valley, which I thought only existed in California, and it's getting wild.
But you have a valley on a big, like a very large island. I didn't realize, like, it's not like a big island, but like, I don't know.
We're not an island. We're a peninsula.
Sorry,
straight.
It's connected to Canada, Jacob.
In the next 10 years, we might not be, but like, let's be real. For now, there is a valley that's like, it starts like 30 minutes away from me. I'm actually from where she's talking about, but there's 2 mountain ranges, and that's how a valley works. But yeah, we do have a small valley. Yeah.
All right. Anyways, making connections, finding friends. It's a good time. And while Nova Scotia is a peninsula, Jacob, there is a game called Fortnite that takes place on an island. This takes me to my last story.
Ooh, solid.
I'm bringing it tonight.
Yeah.
Our last story of the night comes from 9 to 5 Google. Epic Games apparently offered Fortnite for Stadia in exchange for free access to the Play Store. This is pretty wild.
This whole thing has been wild. I know, Nick, you talked a lot about the current trial between Apple and Epic.
Yes.
A lot of juicy deets coming out of that.
And that's where this came from. So
tons of stuff has leaked out about like Fortnite skins that are coming. They found out that they might be trying to put Naruto in the game. It's the documentation that has come out in this trial has been buck wild.
Fiona's losing it.
She doesn't want Naruto.
And this is the newest one that we've been talking about. It was just a year ago that finally Epic Games gave in and brought Fortnite to the Google Play Store, but it wasn't done without a fight. We had a report just a few months prior that Epic had attempted to just submit the game to the store, in-app billing ignored, which Google didn't allow. Apparently around that same time, Epic had attempted another strategy. IGN reporter Rebecca Valentine claims on Twitter that before Epic officially launched Fortnite in the Google Play, the company had offered to bring the mega hit to Stadia in exchange for being given a free pass on the Play Store for Android distribution. Google, you fools. That obviously didn't happen, but it's interesting to see that Epic apparently made the offer that their CEO, Tim Sweeney, said in late 2020 that Fortnite for Stadia wasn't on the roadmap because the platform lacked a mass market user base. But you guys have crossplay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been
it would have been interesting to see Fortnite on Stadia given the huge player count for that game drives, not to mention the ease of access Stadia would provide new players of the game. Still, financially, things probably worked out in Google's favor. That's fair. Providing an exception for Fortnite in the Google Play Store would have set a dangerous precedent going forward. For those who don't know, Google and Apple both take a whopping 30% of those purchases in a $1 billion industry. So Google probably played the smarter financial play. It's bummer for Stadia fans. I absolutely want to play Fortnite on Stadia.
Yeah,
I play Fortnite everywhere. Me and my kid, we love Fortnite.
The fork knife.
Jake, let's go to you first. What do you think about the idea of Fortnite and Stadia, and just kind of this news in general?
The fact that like clearly it's possible. I mean, is the fact that it hasn't happened yet is really sad. I'm not a Fortnite player. I tried to play when it came out. I'm bad at building, and I just didn't find that fun. So I jumped from that real quick. But actually, at the time, I found PUBG way more enjoyable. But going back to PUBG is not as fun. But no, I mean, I would like this. I mean, I want to see more games on Stadia. I think that would be a big get for the platform, especially the whole, you don't need hardware to play it. And I think it'd be a big get for us because so many kids now have either tablets or Chromebooks or whatnot, and they can play in full resolution and not have to worry about the iOS fighting and whatnot. Just play it. So,
yeah. Fiona, Fortnite, Stadia,
Naruto.
No, I tried Fortnite in 2018, and that will stay back in 2018 where it belongs. I'm personally not a Fortnite player. However, I recognize how big of a phenomenon it is at this point. I don't even it's yes, it's a game, but so many people love it. One of my co-hosts has spent $900 American. I'm not going to say specifically who, but he spent $900 American on the game on skins.
Ruben.
No. Oh, God, Mario. I hope it was Ruben.
We're not going to, I'm not, we'll talk about it after. Mario. It was not. So it was a lot. However, I think this would have been a great opportunity, especially for the younger Stadia users and people who do enjoy Fortnite, and just another opportunity or another place to play it. So it's kind of it's a little bit of a bummer for them. For me, I'm indifferent. I think you can play Fortnite a number of other places and it can stay in those other places, but that's just me. That's my hot take.
Wow, that is spicy indeed. Nick, what about you?
Okay, so yeah, in a perfect world where it would be possible to play with as many blades as people needed and the infrastructure was there to scale up to a theoretically infinite amount, absolutely. Let's get Fortnite in here, free to play, let's make it happen. But let's also be realistic of what would happen if tomorrow they flipped a switch that allowed anybody that has access to anything to play Fortnite on their device. It would be, especially if crossplay were enabled, it would be probably doomsday for Stadia, and think of the press that would come the next day. You know it would happen.
That's true.
I don't think they'd be able to scale, especially when you're looking at a free-to-play model. Now, what was not in that specific article, but we also talked about it during this Epic versus Apple case, because so many juicy tidbits coming out across the map, and Stadia is no exception. Beyond that offer with the Play Store, they were also talking about a free-to-play model, or just spitballing it, where they could say, okay, well, it's a free-to-play game, but you have to subscribe to the Fortnite monthly pass thing that they do now, not the battle pass, but that crew thing, for X number of months to play for X number of months, so that they actually control the number of people pouring in, and they're making a different stream of revenue. So they were actually even entertaining possibly an alternative revenue stream, I think, because they know they wouldn't have been able to keep up with the overwhelming demand. So personally, for me, I don't think it would work out just with where Stadia is right now. It would make great headlines, and then it would all go downhill very quickly.
Yeah, I mean, that's what kind of when Cyberpunk came to Stadia. I remember I was saying, clearly, people are like, oh, Stadia thought. I mean, obviously, I think Stadia would have been able to scale. Would be able to scale to a certain extent, but not to that rapid of extent. But with Cyberpunk, they had a lot of issues at the launch because because there's so many people jumping on the platform for Cyberpunk, and so clearly they obviously would want to have 10 million people on Stadia, but they're clearly not built to scale quite to that level.
It would break Stadia.
Yeah, so absolutely. So yeah, I agree. There'd have to be a certain way of rolling it out, either making it so certain users can have access to it, but that's also sloppy press wise, but to ramp up actually. Or to make it only pro subscribers for a time being, and then you can open up for everyone after a while. There's ways I could probably roll it out to make it actually scale, but none of it's really great press besides maybe the pro and then removing the pro restriction. But but no, I mean, I do think it'd be a great get, but it'd be tough to implement. So
fair.
What about you, Aaron? What do you think?
I want it. I just want it. I don't care about your logistics. I just want it.
I mean, the article made a good point about the revenue stream too, the 30% cut and removing that for this specific instance. That wouldn't make any sense financially for Google. Besides,
Google lost a ton of money just in that year.
Yeah, and also there's a lot of these platforms have backdoor deals, especially with I think Amazon with Apple has a deal where they get a different revenue cut. That precedent would be really bad for something like Epic. So for a game dev, so.
Yeah, a lot of the logistics make sense to me on why they didn't happen. I would love to be a fly on a wall in some of those meetings and see kind of what the negotiations looked like. Did Google even entertain it? Did they come back with counter offers, or was it just there's just no way, man?
Or just a random email that friggin' Tim Sweeney sent to his mom and is like,
Stadia won't play nice with me. My perfect Tim Sweeney impression. I don't think I've ever heard the guy talk.
No.
So Yeah, I don't know. I think this will be really interesting to see if Epic and Google could strike any type of deal just in general. But man, the Apple case has been fascinating, way more so than I would have ever.
There's like Twitter accounts dedicated to just posting what the
Walmart was going to make a streaming service. What?
That was rumored actually at one. I remember hearing that rumor for a while.
Yeah, like game streaming service.
This absolute bonkers.
It's nuts.
Glad they didn't. I think at this point they would have been oversaturated at this point if we had one more streaming service between the 4. I mean, even the small ones are like, I think Shadow. We had another thing on here where they filed for bankruptcy. There's a lot of them. They're popping out that are just not doing. Small ones aren't doing great. So
Meg recognizes, great recognizes great. You know what I'm saying? Right here.
I knew
Whoa, is Tim Sweeney on this podcast where I just heard him. That was me. Also, damn. I have one more thing before we wrap up. Listen, I know that there are valleys elsewhere, Meg, as she says, like valleys can only exist in California. It's just when I hear the valley. Oh, you're from the valley. So just a very California turn to me. I'm sorry. You know what? Jake called you guys an island. All right.
I swear to God, I remember there being a bridge on, but yeah, it's been a while since I looked at a map of Nova Scotia. It's probably been like 5 years, 6 years since I looked at a map of Nova Scotia. So I'm sorry.
There's PEI that has a bridge.
I'm sorry.
Wow.
Oh, and on that note, that does it for the 23rd episode of Speaking of Stadia. Nick, where can all the people find you and listen to you say more words about awesome things?
Well, we do that twice a week on the Quit the Build podcast. You can find us at quitthebuild.com. We have links to all our socials there rather than me trying to awkwardly meamble through all of them, but most of them are just at Quit the Build. But yeah, we have new episodes every Wednesday and Saturday. Myself and Bruno, we're both two childhood millennial friends that constantly take our stories about video game news and turn it into way back when in the 90s conversations about how we used to do things. And, that's what you want, right? So, check us out. And thanks again so much for having me on the podcast. Like I said, it's this guy's fault right here, Jake, that I'm even into Stadia. So I just figured it's appropriate that, and I'm just happy to talk to people that know things about Stadia. This is awesome. It doesn't happen very often. I think you all know that.
Well, we're going to have you back again. This is awesome to have you. Fee, where can the lovely people find you on the interwebs?
People can find me over at Point in Progress, and you can find us on Twitter, specifically at twitter.com/pointinprogress. All the links are there. We're on YouTube, my goodness, and all the other places. And I, for some reason, probably because of how late it is, but my mind blanks on every other. So just check out our web. Like, we have our entire list of where you can find us on there. I'm also going to be streaming after this podcast, over on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Loranix. I'm going to be playing some GTA. Because shocker, you know what? An absolute shocker. I've never played this game before. We're going to be doing some heists and stuff like that, and it's going to be really entertaining. And it's mostly going to be me yelling about mods because mods are stupid.
But do you have your outfit ready?
Like modifications of the game, or mods as like form mods?
Oh no, I mean like people who jump into the game, change the actual time of day from night to day, and then just kick everyone out of the game after they drop money from the sky. That kind of mod.
Fun.
That's
yeah
awful.
Yeah, and yes, I do have outfits specifically for my stream.
Okay, nice. That's nice. I'm tune in.
Yeah.
Awesome, Mr. Porter. Where can the people find you other than Speak of Stadia, because you run our Twitter?
How does cameras work?
He's gonna find you.
Oh, right there. You got it. Oh,
right
no,
there
no,
in the
no,
name
no.
tag.
You're out. Oh,
For
no.
audio listeners, Too Tall Porter. Although I noticed you went with O's and not zeros.
Yeah. Well,
did you forget your own username?
No, on Stadia I'm with O's. With Twitter I'm on zeros. So yeah, I figured I'd just go with the Stadia one because it's for a Stadia thing. But yeah, you're telling on Twitter, yes, I am at 2 with zeros because some jerk took it already. But yeah, I'm posting more on Twitter on my own account.
I know. I've been very proud of you.
I
using our account as my personal Twitter. But I've been trying to be more active on my actual Twitter account. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Find me there. Again, I've actually been listening to Nick a lot on Quit the Build whenever they have new episodes. So it's been really good banter between the two, really good chemistry.
And then of course Fiona.
Yeah. Then
beautiful.
Adorable.
Yeah, they're if you like this, like about the nostalgia thing, if you like the old DVD thing, they'll have that on the stream flying around.
Is it gonna hit the corner?
It.
Yeah, it's
gotta tune in.
Yep. And then Fiona, of course, with all her stuff, she does great.
It's the best reference I've heard in a while. Is it gonna hit the corner? Oh man, that's good. I have, of course, same thing right here.
Oh,
that was less
Aaron
fun.
Seaney, AARONSEANEY. Also, you can check out my other show on youtube.com/awesomelyaverage, where I get to interview super awesome people as just one average guy. So check that out. But again, thank you so much for listening. Of course, like and subscribe and check out Gaming Source Network for all of your gaming news. That does it. We'll be back here in 2 weeks. We do the show every Monday at 6:30 p.m.
Every other
Mountain Standard Time, every other 8:30 Eastern, 9:30 in weird Nova Scotia land. So that does it. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye-bye.